Welcome to another round of Charleston Battery Weekly here with SDH Networks and OSG Sports. It's the last Charleston Battery of the year, so we will catch up with Poppy Miller and get her thoughts on the opening round loss in the Eastern Conference playoffs for the USL in the match against Red Bulls 2. We'll also get her thoughts on the season on the whole and the players that were a part of the Battery in 2018. And also in the Spotlight segment, it is Sarah Cardamone, Director of Marketing and Communications for the Battery. We get her thoughts on the season as well and put a bow on the season. So it is me, it is Poppy, it is Sarah, and it is you. One last time here for the Charleston Battery Weekly program. We'll be right back in 2 and 2 for the P block and get Poppy's thoughts on the year.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome to the A block, which means it's time for the P block, and it's time to catch up with Poppy Miller one last time here for Charleston Battery Weekly. Poppy, it's been fun so far.
It has. We were just chatting before we came on. I can't believe it's the last podcast and I can't believe that the season's over. Every single year when it gets to this point in the season and it's so built up and you're so busy and then it's just over like that, it just still gets me every time.
All right, so then let's talk about what happened in the quarterfinals. Your takeaways from the match against a team that's been the thorn in the side for a lot of folks. It was an early goal and having to fight uphill the whole way.
It was. And, looking back on the whole game, we talked about Tom Barlow in the pregame, just how dangerous he's been against the Battery. He came on as a sub last time they played, scored 3 goals, played against them last playoff, scored a goal. And so he really was the one to watch. He looked dangerous throughout the game. But really, when you look back at the chances created, the Battery were on the front foot for a lot of it. And I think if the wind had maybe blown their way for a couple of opportunities. Gordon Wild just knocking at the door all the whole 90 minutes until he was on, maybe 3 minutes until the end. I think he was substituted out. But it was just so difficult. They were on the verge so many times. And if you look at stats, they were on top in a lot of stats. But Red Bulls are just so confident in the attack and they're so confident in throwing numbers forward. And in the end, the Battery just ran out of time. And I think you have to give Red Bulls credit because they did well to hang on. Like you said, it was an early goal, I think in the 20th minute. And so to hang on a 1-0 lead, always a very dangerous lead to have, especially in the playoffs. And just before our game, I'd been watching the Cincinnati-Nashville game that was taken right down to the wire. And I had a feeling that could have been how our game was to go. But disappointing result, but a fantastic season and so many highs to look back at over the year.
All right, so then let's get into that, and I'll do the same thing with Sarah Cardamone in the next segment. And a shorter sized roster, and you and I have had this topic the entire season, and what you saw was the quality of the individual that was there as a part of the roster. So it wasn't necessarily the size of the roster that mattered. It was the size of the individual that was on the roster. And let's go between the sticks to start off, where really you had, and I guess the key phrase of the year is interchangeable parts with Joe Kosminski and Adisno Cooper.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things about it. Every week Mike Anhauser had such a big decision to make because, like you said, numerically not a very big roster, and coming into the year, obviously, with a lot of departures, I'm sure a lot of the fans and everybody was wondering, who's going to fill these key roles. But then it became a case of just changing them around and seeing them get those same results. And to have that in goal as well was such a huge point because, like, a lot of the season, maybe games get postponed, suspensions happen, injuries happen. So to have that from the very back line, starting in net, right through to the strikers, I think that was one of the biggest pieces that the Battery found so much success this year because of that there was so much changeover between the sides. And they were still able to keep that consistency, which has really been the key. And then if you look at all the rookies this year that have made such an impact in the side, I mean, Jay Bolt started out really adapted to that winger position. Angelo Kelly in the middle of the park, and before Angelo moved in, Vincenzo was roaming around in there with Brian and Unga. And then you look at the forwards, the Gordon Wild, Patrick Okonkwo really coming onto his own, Victor Mansoret making an impact week in, week out off the bench. So there's so many people that have played such a critical part in this year's performances that weren't here last year. So I think that gives a lot of confidence to the team, a lot of credit to the team, and overall a lot of success this year.
And, obviously you and I kind of get, we look at the names that people gravitate toward. And in that you have a Brian Anunga, you have an Atula Guerra. And one of the guys that I want to focus on just briefly is Nico Rittmeyer. And his continued evolution as a player, coming through from, playing in the Southeast and playing in that pipeline in Charleston. And he made great strides this season when it came to his ideas of what he wanted to be on the pitch.
He absolutely did. He was one of the main ones for me this year. And I think a lot of the fans as well, he's a local boy, a fan favorite here, went to the College of Charleston. And I think he really found his confidence. And not only can you see that in the stats and the goals that he scored and the assists that he's done, but when you're watching him and you're watching him have the confidence this year to take on players one-on-one, you're watching him get down the wing and you're knowing that his teammates know exactly what he's capable of. And that a lot of the time they're threading the ball through the back line so far in front that if you're watching him for the first time, you think, oh, he's never going to get that. And then he's there on the end of it. And I think a lot of the times maybe the back lines were so focused on the Atula Guerras and the Patrick Okonkwo's and the Gordon Wilds up top that it was really Nico that had the room and was able to creep in behind. And he's really done some great setup play this season, getting to the back line, putting the negative ball into the box and then forcing the error. So whether he started or he's coming as a sub, he's a great athlete. And he's one of those players that if he does come in as a sub, he's going to put in probably as much running as maybe some of the players have put in from the beginning. He's just it's such an energetic player, great vision of the game, and I'm so happy for him that he's had such a stellar year this year. And
you mentioned up front, but there were a couple of loanees from Atlanta United that made impacts, and Gordon Wild, who did some tremendous things with a very strong foot. And then Patrick Okonkwo, who it took a little while and it took some coaching from Mike Anhauser, but it seemed, like in August or so, he seemed to hit his stride as well.
It was. And I think it all came from the Open Cup play. When you start to get to the point in the season where you're having a midweek game with Open Cup and you're starting against maybe the teams that are in the division lower and our league, and we're seeing some changes to the lineup, I think that's where he really started to build his confidence. And he was great, especially in the air and hanging on the last defenders in the box. And he really found his stride. And I think especially those midweek games then gave him the confidence to come in off the bench and make an impact. And you could tell his chemistry with the players and his teammates really, really went to another level this season. You know, last season he had spells of being fantastic, but we didn't get to see much of him. But this year, I think it was really his confidence, and speaking to him throughout the year, he said he's just quietly working away, chipping away, and when he gets his moment, he's going to take it. And I think he did exactly just that this season.
All right. So when you look back at some of the moments, and you can characterize that word however you want to phrase it, what were some of your favorite moments of the season from the booth?
That's a difficult one because there's been so many. I think one of my favorite moments that just stands out, well, the New York game, you can't really forget about the 4-4 draw here at NUSC Health Stadium against New York. That was one of the biggest, I think, shocks for the end of a match. You know, it was just all so up in the air. It was a great game if you're a neutral fan, if there was any out there that hadn't chosen a side to support. And that one was really a standout just because of the pure tension in the game and the excitement of the game. But then on the other hand, I think some other great moments in the game was Joe Kuzminski saving the penalty, you know, where he just stood straight, held his stance, and saved the penalty, I think, against North Carolina SC. A great moment, and the fans really, again, got behind him on that. Thinking of some other key moments that we've had, especially there's been a couple on the road. But another one that really stands out, of course, is Mike Hanhauser's 25th anniversary at the club against Atlanta United 2. You know, just to see him here with his family at halftime and just to hear the crowd chanting his name. Another great game. And that was a really special moment, I think, for everybody at the club, and especially with all the history that's here. And that was cool to be a part of, especially for the people that haven't been here for very many years. So there's been a couple of really key moments. I'm sure as soon as we finish this, I'll think of another one and think, oh, I wish I'd said that. But there's definitely been some standout moments and a really memorable year.
Okay, so where's the bobblehead?
Where's the what, sorry?
Where's the bobblehead? You got one of the bobbleheads, didn't you?
I didn't. We had one for broadcast, but there is one sitting on Mike Hanhauser's desk in the office, so he definitely has one.
Okay,
which is all that matters.
Just checking. I wanted to make sure that if there was one on your desk or somewhere within reach, to make sure that it was there someplace. All right, one last check here as we head into life in the championship. It's still going to be a bit of a sprint, but Forrest's still right there. But you know you can't rest on your laurels as we're kind of here at the quarter pole.
Yeah, you can't. And they've just come off a fantastic win, 3-0 yesterday against Bolton. So they're looking good. Like we always say, it's such a long season, but to get a 3-0 and a clean sheet, but now Derby County are sitting above them in the table. So I'm not too happy about it, but still looking forward to going home at Christmas and watching them play, and hopefully they'll have climbed the table a bit more by then. But they're looking good. They're looking good. A solid season so far. So fingers crossed. But of course, Leeds still sitting at the top. But like we mentioned, so tight at the top of their conference and the championship. So we'll have to keep our eye on it.
All right. Do you get any time off now? Because the off season is faster than it has been in the past. And, you know, Carolina Challenge Cup is really only 3.5 months away. What's the off season like for you?
You know, off season will be busy. We're having a bit of a slower week this week, I think, just reflecting on the season and everyone's tying up loose ends. And then, of course, we'll anticipate and wait for the matches this weekend. But for me, I'm just so excited to get back into it already. I'm thinking ahead and what will we be doing for next season. So I hope that it'll fly by. I'll take a nice break to go home at Christmas in December. And I think we've got a staff against supporters game here that we're going to play on the main pitch. So that's the next big event that everybody's got to start gearing up for.
You and Cardamone on the pitch in the staff versus supporters match. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I know. Hopefully we can stream it.
All right. So, Poppy, once again, for folks in the off season who want to keep an eye on things, how do they stay in touch with you?
Yep, you can follow me at _PoppyMiller on Twitter, PoppyMiller3 on Instagram, and then, of course, at Chaz_Battery on Twitter and Charleston Battery on Instagram to keep up to date.
Well, once again, thanks for everything this season. Thanks for being the P block every single week when it comes to Charleston Battery Weekly. And you know that you and I will be talking offline a whole lot in the off season and everything. And thanks for being a part of Soccer Down Here, and thanks for being a part of the show.
Oh, thank you so much, John. I really have loved it. It's been so fun to check in with you every week. I'll miss it. Hopefully the off-season flies by and we're back before we know it.
I think it will when we come back. Sarah Cardamone, Grand Exalted Poobah of Marketing and Communications for the Charleston Battery. She will be the B block in the spotlight when we come back. Charleston Battery Weekly continues after this, and SDH Networks and OSG Sports will be right back in 2 and 2.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back to Charleston Battery Weekly here on SDH Networks and OSG Sports. And what we decided to do this time around, normally for the B block, we have a player. And we kind of pick their brain about anything and everything that's going on in their world for about 10 minutes. But what we decided to do this time was, since it's the last show of the season, catch up with the individual who has made this all happen all season long and get her perspective on what's been going on. The Grand Exalted Poobah for Communications for the Charleston Battery, Sarah Cardamone. Sarah, thanks again for everything this year. Thanks for being a part of Soccer Down Here. And thanks for putting up with us to do Battery Weekly every week.
Absolutely. It's been fun. Thanks for having me on today.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the season. And, since you've, been part and parcel and pretty much embedded into all of everything that goes on, what were the expectation levels coming into the year, and what was it like going through Carolina Challenge Cup to get ready for the season? What was the vibe when the season started from your perspective?
I think prior to Challenge Cup, it was kind of like the vibe in the front office was we didn't really know what to expect because we lost so many great players in the offseason, obviously Romario, and then Justin Portillo, Michael Chang, Forrest Lasso. We lost so much. So I don't think we had too much confidence going in, which was a mistake because obviously we have Coach Anhauser who always finds a way to make things work. And then we went through Challenge Cup and beat Minnesota and hung tough with Columbus and then drew with Atlanta. And I think that kind of really brought back that confidence that we had from last year in the team. And then we just kind of rolled into the regular season from there.
And there were times in the regular season where the unbeatenness of the Battery was really something that set the rest of the Eastern Conference and the USL on its heels. To get on a run like that, what's it like to see, from your perspective, what's it like to see the players and the coaches at practice with the confidence that they are? You know, since you play soccer yourself, you know what confidence can breed, and it can breed more confidence. But what was it like to see the guys on a practice week and then on a game night on that role with that confidence that was instilled with all of those positive results?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see that, and a run can not only inspire confidence, but just kind of inspire a bit of energy and kind of a bit of fun. And you can definitely see it in training day in and day out that the guys are enjoying themselves a little bit more when they're winning, obviously. And then from my perspective, my job is way more fun when the guys are happy and they're enjoying themselves and they're winning games. And as far as confidence goes, I think that there are a lot of players on the Battery squad this year who really just fed off of confidence from game to game, and I would point out Ta Brian Anunga as one of the main ones. He kind of really stepped into his role at the beginning of the year and sparked a couple of those runs, and I think he grew in confidence and grew in stature every single game. And then Atula obviously kind of got on a little bit of a goal-scoring run, and it definitely rolls over from game to game. So, I mean, it was great to see from my perspective, just seeing the guys enjoying themselves going on those runs.
And, you know, you mentioned a couple of the guys, and having a roster that wasn't the size of a lot of other USL sides this season, it meant that Coach Anhauser and the staff had to do more with a little less. But I think what it also showed was how the depth of the team really served itself with the solid personalities that you had. And I can't look any further than what we saw in net with Joe Kuzminski and Adisnell Cooper. They were interchangeable parts.
Yeah, I think that's something that speaks to Coach's experience and his ability from the sideline, is just to get the best out of every player he has. And he made it work for him, obviously. He only returned two players from 2017 who scored a goal, and that was Atula and Ta, and somehow got the most out of all of these new guys and got them to come together and got the best out of all of them. And I think the short roster really brought the guys together as a locker room, just because everybody was playing a role. Everybody played at least 5 games, which I think really, really helps from, I don't want to say the ego standpoint, but nobody really developed one because it was kind of a total team effort and everybody was involved. So that was really cool to see from my standpoint.
And you look at some of the new faces. Let's just start with the defense. I know obviously that we've known about Skylar and Taylor and Obi Woodbine, but you also got to see folks like Leland and Jay Bolt and Jared Van Shake come to the fore defensively too.
Yeah, Leland and I actually played at College of Charleston together, so it was great for me to see him come into the team. I think he's going to be a great pro. He's very good with the ball at his feet, and he's a good defender. He's super athletic, and he can actually score some goals, which I think we'll see in the future. Jay obviously did great. He played a ton of minutes, and I don't think he was really expecting to play a ton of minutes, honestly, coming in. But we had some issues with O'Brien Woodbine's green card, and Jared had a few injuries. So he was forced to step up, and I think he did a great job, and he grew in stature as well as the season went on from a defensive and attacking standpoint. And then Jared, it was good to have him back. He played here for a couple years, I think 2013, 14, 15, left, and then came back for 17, 18. And I mean, he's a quality player. He spent some time in MLS camps, so he brings a little bit of experience, but also kind of a different point of view because he's been away from the Battery for a season. So he offers something a little bit different than maybe Taylor or Cooper or someone else who's been here for a long time. So there were 3 big players for Coach in the back, and I think hopefully we get them all back and they can play a big role again next year.
And you mentioned in the midfield, you mentioned Atula and Ta. You got to see the evolution of some of the other players' games. You got to see what Hack can do. You got to see, I think Nico Rittmeyer is another one of those below-the-radar stories that kind of came to the fore this year also. And then you look at folks like, Victor Mansoray and Kataro Higashi, whose story is amazing on its own. But you got to see the evolution of a lot of players in the midfield too.
Yeah, Nico really stepped up this year. He got limited time last year, but he's another one who was just called on just because of the lack of depth in the squad, and he scored 4 goals and had 4 assists, which has him amongst the highest on the team, and that's good to see. I think his pace is deceptive. I don't think people expect him to be as fast as he is, and he took some people by surprise, and he'll keep playing that role of sparking counterattacks with his pace wherever he goes in his career. Kataro stepped up and bagged a couple goals for us this year. It was something that was missing from his game last year. He didn't score at all, even though he always found himself in the right positions. So it was nice to see him score a couple goals this year. And same for Victor, who's bounced around in his career, and he started so young as a Seattle homegrown. It was nice to see him come in and have some success at the end of the year. And then the other boys in the midfield, Angelo and Vincenzo, were two newcomers. I think were fantastic this year. They really stepped up. 2 more players who stepped up and showed what they were worth. So.
And you go up top, and once and everybody kept telling Ian Sponderson to shoot. And when he finally did, the ball ended up on the back of the net. And then the 2 loanees from Atlanta United, Gordon Wild, you saw instant dividends from him, and you also saw some good work out of Patrick Okonkwo.
Yeah, and honestly, between the 3 of them, I think Patrick is the best story from my standpoint, just because he was a project, and his results at the end of the year, I think, show how talented coach is at what he does. Patrick came in and was just kind of a big kid with a lot of pace, and obviously he has talent, but he didn't really know how to use it. And by August, coach figured out how to get some goals out of him, which was really awesome to see. And Gordon, I've never seen anybody strike a ball like that kid. So I hope he goes on and does big things at the next level at some point. But he can kick a soccer ball very, very hard. I'll just leave it at that. He scored some great goals for us. And then Ian, I think he scored the 2 goals in Challenge Cup and then had some issues with injuries and maybe some confidence. So it was nice to see him come on at the end of the year too, as Atula kind of went in and out of the lineup with suspensions and injuries and international duty, whatever it was. It was nice to see Ian and Patrick step up and fill those shoes together.
All right, so it is officially a premature off-season that has already started for the Battery. What do the fans and the followers and the listeners have to look forward to here in the off-season? What's going to be going on that folks need to be keeping an eye on? It'll be an interesting off-season for a bunch of different levels because of the USL Championship now becoming a part of it with all of the new franchises coming in. What does the off-season hold for the Battery other than perhaps taking a week off?
Yeah, we might take a few breaks here and there, but it'll just be for the fans. I think it's exciting to see who we get back and who we sign. Obviously, we're in a position where we're not going to keep everybody. I think that's true of every team in USL. So we'll see some faces go, which will be disappointing and sad to the fans, I'm sure, and it'll be disappointing and sad to us here in the front office. But that's the game, especially in the USL. But that also means that we're going to bring in some new faces and some fresh blood, which is always fun. We signed a kid at the end of the year. Unfortunately, we didn't get his visa in time. His name's Romario Pigott. He's very good. I've seen him train. So that's an exciting player to look out for, who we already have under contract. And then beyond players in and out, it's Challenge Cup in February. The off season is getting shorter every year, I feel like. So that's another big thing to be excited for.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on things, and we'll definitely be staying in touch with you. Sarah, once again, thanks for everything this season when it's come to Charleston Battery Weekly. Thanks for being a part of Soccer Down Here, and thanks for being a part of everything. Obviously, we'll catch up with you soon, but thanks for being a part of the show last time around.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, we come back. We'll put a bow on a season. Charleston Battery Weekly continues after this on SDH Networks and OSG Sports.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Polinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Time to put a bow on Charleston Battery Weekly for 2018. Thanks to everyone who has been listening all season long. Thanks to all of your feedback, and thanks to everyone who makes the Charleston Battery sing down there in Charleston and in the USL as well. So thanks to everyone in the front office, specifically Sarah Cardamone, for helping us secure all the players. Thanks to all the players who were a part of the show this season. We kind of got to pull back the curtain a little bit, and it was a fun thing to do for the Player Spotlight. Obviously, we'll be back next season to continue talking Charleston Battery with you, the faithful listener, and we couldn't do it without you as well. So on behalf of everyone at Soccer Down Here, thanks to the Battery, thanks to Sarah, thanks to the front office, thanks to the players, thanks to you, the fans, and thanks to Poppy Miller for being a part of the show. That's it for Charleston Battery Weekly for 2018. We'll be back for 2019 before you know it. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you at the stadium.